welcome to One Man's Opinion. Today I am reviewing the new Broadway musical Smash, with book by Bob Martin and Rick Elice, music by Marc Shaiman, lyrics by Scott Wittman and Marc Shaiman, directed by Susan Stroman, and choreographed by Joshua Bergasse, running at the Imperial Theater at 249 West 45th Street in New York City. Help make my Patreon page be a smash hit by becoming a patron, where you can, for as little as $1 a month, help meet expenses for the show, as well as my classic cinema podcast, Yesterday's Matinee. Patrons get early access to the latest episodes of the podcast, as well as quick reviews of theater engagements before they are fleshed out here. Thank you to my current patrons, especially my Neo and Hamilton tier patrons, and welcome to the new ones. Links to my Patreon page and podcast pages will be in the description. This iteration of Smash is a decent musical with some bright and glamorous musical numbers, great choreography by Joshua Bergasse, and a score that, narratively speaking, is the best thing about it, using songs from the television series written by Shaiman and Wittman. There are also some great performances with a couple standouts. The book, though, is a bit of a mess, which I imagine was in part due to making a 32-episode television series fit into a musical a little over 2.5 hours, cutting out most of it for a much simpler plot. The musical hit list is nowhere to be seen here. There are enough changes that if I went through them all, that it would be a whole review. So if you're a fan of the show and something sounds unfamiliar, it's probably because it's new here. This version of Smash solely focuses on the production of a brand new Broadway musical about Marilyn Monroe called Bombshell. The production is well into rehearsals, and married songwriting duo Tracy and Jerry, played by Krista Rodriguez and John Bellman, are reaching a creative impasse as Tracy wants to instill more depth into the character of Marilyn by writing a few numbers that presents the internal struggle of the icon. Much to the chagrin of Jerry and the musical's director Nigel, played with a comic abandon by Brooks Ashmanskas, Tracy writes secondhand White Baby Grand. And even worse, she gives the actress playing Marilyn, Ivy Lynn, played by Robin Herder, a copy of a book called The Method, written by Susan Proctor, played by Christine Nielsen. Nigel would rather have the musical be a bright celebration of Marilyn Monroe without the heavy drama of a woman who is struggling with her identity and ultimately commits suicide. In this musical reality, Susan Proctor is sort of a Paula Strasberg analog, having been an actual acting coach for Marilyn Monroe. Ivy seeks out Susan and takes her on as an acting coach for the production of Bombshell. The story quickly turns into a low-bar attempt at making fun of method acting, as Ivy quickly embodies Marilyn to the point of only being called Marilyn over the course of the rehearsal, and stopping during scenes to consult with Susan as to what her next action will be. It's all stock and trade humor that feels a bit dated at this point, and projects more pity towards Ivy than any actual humor at her or Susan's expense. The actual character of Ivy and Herder's performance is a bit of an enigma. Herder's portrayal of Ivy at the top of the show is of an eager but very capable, confident, and respected actress. There is no indication in the way that the character is written or portrayed before she brings Susan to the set that she is someone who is lacking self-esteem and can be easily manipulated the way she is once Susan arrives. The transition lacks authenticity. Still, once Ivy does embody Marilyn, Herder stops playing Ivy. She is playing Marilyn Monroe, which is impressive in its own way. Even though I don't think it works for the character of Ivy in the plot, Herder still plays it with precision. The problems that come from Ivy's literal transformation into Marilyn disrupts the production, and Nigel, along with his assistant director, choreographer Chloe, played by Bella Coppola, must find ways to deal with her while making sure the understudy, Karen, played by Caroline Bowman, is ready to go on at a moment's notice. Karen has understudied Ivy in their last 4 shows and is eager to get her moments in the spotlight. Meanwhile, producer Anita, played by Jacqueline B. Arnold, is reluctant in dealing with anything directly involving Ivy because of her marquee value, and if she fires her, the show's investors may dry up. Though the book is riddled with heavily trodden cliches about the problems of backstage musical theater drama, with much of this feeling like a reworking of 42nd Street than an original idea, where the musical succeeds is in the music. Shaiman and Wittman's musical numbers are all diegetic as numbers performed for the musical Bombshell. So all the songs are about the characters in the musical Bombshell, not the characters in the musical Smash. Well, except for one, but that's a spoiler and I don't want to ruin it for you because it's a great bit. Why I think Smash works musically is because when the musical starts, the numbers don't have any real connection with the characters, but as Smash progresses, the songs for Bombshell slowly start to have more meaning to the characters. The further we go into the musical, the more fiction and reality for them start to blend as the characters become closer to the work that they are performing. It's smart songwriting, and the one part of the book that I really like. Many of the songs at the end of the show are reprises of numbers in the first act, and they all come in with a different weights the second time around, which is as it should be, but more so as the characters are affected by the songs that second time. Like I said, Ashmanskas is hilarious. He steals the show as he seems to be the actor who plays the musical with an appreciation of the absurdity of the whole premise, pushing his moments to the extreme to earn each laugh he can get from the audience. Herder is fantastic as she allows us to feel for Marilyn by proxy of her performance as Ivy as Marilyn. The rest of the cast is great, with Bella Coppola getting a couple moments to really shine in a plot twist that satirizes both online influencers, which is pretty funny, and addresses Broadway's long-standing issues with body shaming, which doesn't pay off as well as I like. Beowulf Boritt is back with another exceptional scenic design. I love the Sardi's scene, and the rehearsal studio set gives director Stroman plenty of room to maneuver the ensemble of actors in their dance numbers, giving the audience plenty of viewing room. Alejo Vietti dazzles with superb costume work, especially with Herder, who gets to wear about every famous Marilyn Monroe dress they could fit into the script. If you're a Smash fan, I can't rightly say if you'll like this one way or the other. It'll depend upon your willingness to be flexible with the concept and the changes. If you're not a Smash fan and coming into the musical with no prior knowledge of the show, I say it's an unfortunately cliche-ridden show, but has some excellent performances, and Shaiman and Wittman's score is a highlight, as I found it was the most compelling element of character development, moving the story forward. But I am only one man's opinion, so be sure to leave yours in the comments below. If you'd like to see Smash, I'll leave a link in the description where you can get tickets. Also in the description will be links to my Patreon and podcast pages, as well as my social media handles where you can support my work. You can also support me by liking and sharing this video, subscribing to the channel, and clicking the notification bell to be alerted to future reviews. My next review will be the Broadway production of John Proctor as the villain. Thank you for watching, and I will see you at the theater.